Greetings and welcome to a very special edition of L.A. Reggae, an anthology created exclusively for yours truly, Roger Steffens and Peter Simon's Reggae Scrapbook. L.A. Reggae was a cable television show that began in 1980, created by my friend and partner, the Trinidadian drummer, producer, director, Chili Charles. And over the course of our 23 years of production, we spoke with some of the most important figures in modern reggae music, and we've excerpted some of the most interesting moments of those interviews for you to enjoy over the next hour or so. We begin with one of the great voices of contemporary reggae roots music, Luciano, in an interview recorded in Hollywood on the roof of the Island Records building on Sunset Strip. This was at the very beginning of Luciano's international career, and he had just made a very controversial appearance in front of the world's press in Jamaica. And I wanted to get behind the scenes of what actually happened. This is an interview recorded in June of 1995. Last year, the editor of our magazine, The Beat, C.C. Smith, was brought by Island Records down to Jamaica along with a bunch of other correspondents, journalists from around the world, and the highlight of that trip was to have been a performance by you, I believe, in Montego Bay. And it turns out you came on stage that night in front of the assembled world press who'd been flown down to meet you, and did, I think, 2 songs, and walked off stage and said, that's it, I have to go back to the hills.
You see, to a certain extent...
Is that a proper
yeah, that is true. That is true. You laid it out, my brother.
So, what happened?
Okay, all right. Check it this way now. Sometimes things will happen. You will get up. You may get a hunch to do something, and your wife say, "What's happening? What's happening to you this morning?" But you're just different. You're going according to a spiritual vibes and a prompting. It's like something dawned upon you to do certain things. I say, no doubt, it's like a spiritual initiation that I got. And the way I felt is like I had to run to the hills from whence cometh I and I help. You know, it's something within me just down that I need to take a break from all this, and lights flashing and people coming, and at the same time you have so many questions that are left unanswered. You need to know so much about your life, about yourself, about your consciousness, about your existence, about your family. And you see your family drifting, they're becoming worried, they're worrying they're gonna lose you because this and that, and then the whole human family need you. People wanting to talk, people wanting interviews and so on. The spirit grabs you then, because if you are not willing to comply to the spiritual prompting, then it comes a time when the spirit will use force. And this finger is like a testimony. The spirit will use force to teach you or get across a message. And if you still don't learn, you may go a bit further, you may lose a leg or an arm, you may get a heart attack or a stroke, or business might burn down, or your car might crash right off, a member of your family might pass on. But the spirit will continue to remind you. They say, listen, my brother, you're on a mission. Aren't you going to Nineveh to warn Jonah? Tell all the massy what I want, Jonah. You know, so...
But Luciano, in the middle of your set, I mean, did 10 minutes make that much difference? I mean, you couldn't wait till the set was over?
This is it now. I say, nature may call for you to use the bathroom.
True.
Can you wait?
Well, it depends on how loud the call is. So you had a loud call.
Yes.
2 songs, and up and out.
I think I did 3 songs.
Yeah. And you just blew people away. You made a public statement, basically, that you were not going to surrender to the star-making machine.
No, I'm not out for that. Fame and splendor and all these things. That's why we've had a couple of invitations to like some movies and so on. But I've never seen myself really in that liking. Because I say, to a certain extent, even though you can present a positiveness in the movies, you can see to a certain extent that it's like a fabrication of life. It's not the real essence, and people have become so mesmerized by all this. And if all these movies were positive, then one could have a different spiritual attitude towards it. But these movies are contributing so much to the negative or the regression of mankind so much that you don't want to be involved then.
And here you are in the heart of the beast in Hollywood. This is Hollywood, this spot you're sitting on right now. lots of motion picture companies, you know, within sight of us, literally within sight of us.
I say the true life really is the natural life. You get up, you face each day, you give thanks for another day. You fill your lungs with the good air, which is the breath of life. Because Jah breathed into man the breath of life and made I and I a living soul.
So take me back to that point where you walk off stage in front of the journalists. What did you do in the immediate aftermath of that moment? What did you do that night, and where did you go right after that?
Well, I don't know, you know, even sometimes I try to flash back and see what even happened sometimes in my life, certain phenomena that might transpire. And when I go back to that incident, sometimes I find little or no explanation. But I know that after I step off the stage, I just went right out in the parking lot, and I just chilled out and looked in the skies and see the stars, and, and then heard voices. People were saying some vendors, especially vendors. Some vendors were quarreling that they didn't sell anything yet, and a peanut vendor was quarreling that. Imagine the man don't sing on me peanut, no sell off yet, man. What kind of thing this?
Back in 1982, Chili Charles and I went to a small club in Santa Monica, California for a sound check with Joseph Hill, the lead singer of Culture. And after the sound check, we interviewed him about a couple of interesting events in his life. One, of course, was the writing of the song 2/7's Clash, which closed the entire country of Jamaica for an entire day on the 7th of July, 1977. And in the interview, he tells us how some of the prophecies of his song actually came immediately true. And we follow that with a harrowing tale of how he and his friends were mugged on the way home from a groundation in Bull Bay, Jamaica, and how Joseph Hill's life was saved by a 2-inch-tall Haile Selassie. Would you tell me the lyrics to 2/7's Clash? There are a couple of passages I've never been able to penetrate. Could you speak the lyrics? Do you mind?
The lyrics said, "Watali bam bamba eh," which means could be spreading milk. What a big thing, what a time that will be, in other words, yeah? When the 2/7's clash, and it was a time. I did that twice. My good old prophet Marcus Garvey prophesied, said that San Diego de la Vega, which means Spanish town, and Kingston is gonna meet. And I can see with my own eyes that is only a housing scheme that divides, which now it meets because the Causeway Bridge is there, which joined the two towns together by a river, and along the ferry, along the ferry road, it is getting closer and closer inhabited by housing schemes and farms and adjoining area. So anybody say that they don't see that, it's a lie. Okay. Now with the cotton tree, the cotton tree out by Ferry Police Station, now that is the biggest event in the record to me. Because just like about a week went by last, I went to the studio and I was sort of re-penetrating the road that I drove on to be back. Now, the morning when I was going to the studio, I looked upon the cotton tree while I drove and passed it. And I just said, well, then it must be a great reason why this cotton tree is here so long. Nobody won't cut it down. A valuable place like the police station is there, and nobody seems to cut it down. So it seems to me that a lot of slaves get lashing there. But I didn't say this out to anybody. So, as that sentence went by, here comes another person in my heart saying, but God will soon cut it down with lightning and thunder. It's like three of us was reasoning deep inside while I was in the back of a bus like an old soldier, keep bubbling on the highway. So by this then, I start writing this song. And about 3 days working hard on it. I worked on it. I went to town Monday, I worked on it Tuesday, I worked on it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. Friday night down comes a big rain and lightning and thunder. Saturday morning I was appointed to be back at the studio, and while I was passing, I saw the same cotton tree was being cut down by lightning and thunder and bundled up before the policeman. Them aye. So if them did have any respect and any at all about God and man and the creation of God and man and prophecy, them would respect I to high esteem, but they are disrespecting I. But the time will come. The time will come, because nobody never respect many of what Bob was doing until he passed and gone. See, so therefore it now clarifies the statement to say the person never know the use of his horse until a boil gets thereon. The cow never know the use of his tail until the butcher cuts it off. So, you know.
I'm fascinated by many things in your life and in your career.
Yes.
One of them is your survival, your strength, and in particular, I would like you to either confirm or deny a rumor.
Yep.
I understand you went to a groundation, I believe, at Bull Bay, and on the way back with Michael Keisha from Heartbeat Records, you were stopped by some gunmen, and you barely escaped with your life, and that singing had something to do with your escape. Would you tell the true story of what happened?
Yes, I.
You know what I mean, then?
Yeah, that's you see, you said that now. When you asked me about that, I take great pleasure, and a pleasure within a pleasure, to tell you about this.
Oh, good.
Now, knowing that I am a servant of the Most High, Jah, Rastafari, and I heard that there was a groundation by Bull Bay. So it's an original spot of worship for thousands of Rastaman. Yeah. Well, Mike came to my house about a day before, and he was asking me about going, and he said he would like to go. I said, well then, since you've got the legs, let us step. So the evening, about 10 o'clock, he came by the house, and myself, Albert Walker, Kenneth Days, Mike Case, yeah. Two little dreadlocks youth which they are regular around town. They call one Ruffy and call one Tuffy.
Oh, I know the youths.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, Ruffy and Tuffy, and I said, you know, Ruffy and Tuffy grew up in our hands from the little highs were at our knees, to see how long Rastaman and man been taking care of Tuffy as two little boys. So we went along. It was quite cool getting in, right? Because the Rastaman them wasn't having a war on the beach. They was having a peace meeting, yeah, our ground nation. And we went there and sing and shout and tell Jah what it was all about. Well, it seemed somebody, why that's a body. It wouldn't be a man that come down and I. It must be a body who wants to die by God. Yeah? It's a body, a walking dead. A couple of walking dead came down on me.
Must be a duppy or a gunman.
Yeah, well...
or both.
Yeah, the duppy was behind the gunman, frightened the gunman, and the gunman came out with his gun.
Were you scared?
Well, let me tell you about it. It's going to tell you if I was scared, yes or no. The story will tell you. It's a long story, but it's worthwhile hearing.
Oh, I hope so. I know it will.
No, when the duppy frightened the gunman, and him come out and when I look, I saw 3 M16 heavy duty automatic rifles, plus a Bushmaster, plus automatic rifles on the waist. And the slogan was, police, police, police! Up your blood clot door, boy. I said, okay, officer. That's how I addressed them. I winded down the window, and by I did that quite unmannerly, the plucked the safety lock and we were all looking in and they said, get out the car. So we got out. Yeah. So when we got out the car, each man with an automatic gun covered 3 persons before it. And if he was at a length, at a hand length, I'd sure spring off my foot like a cat. The gun could be really fast. I would really spring off my foot like a cat and bite that throat dead on the spot. But he was a bit too far from me, so I sling slow. Okay. So what took place now? He said, turn your back to the car. So we did like this, and our hands were on top of the car. You know, the car running like that, so our hands were there, and he was just feeling us up like, you know. I would know what to term it as, you know, because even if a girl meet me, she would have to greet me first before feeling me up. So much more these guys, for what I do not have for them, they came down and start feeling me up, yeah. So after they feel me up, they felt a chain around here, and that's one of their main objects that they were looking for, because they was only personating police, but they were not policemen. They were a set of bald-headed criminals. So after they saw that we had on gold and silver, they said, what boy? On the light up on the bumbo cloud ground. And look, man, glad we got to get down on the ground and quiet. But while I was there, man, I hear a voice came into my little heart and said, Joseph, will do you accept defeat? I said, no. I just do like this. I say, hey, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death in Bull Bay? I will fear no evil. And one of the gunman run down upon me ears with him gun and just take him gun and like him want to rub off the rasta ears and say, dreadlocks boy with the rose cloth, you do pray, you pray. I say, yes man. Yeah man. I'm praying man, because look, you know what now? I am a singer and a musician likewise, and so far I've been chanting for the people years come and year go, and we're never being touched by no fool nor no wise. And it seemed this night fools rush in where angels fear to go. Well, I have got a son only 3 years old, and if what I am singing it is pertaining to you, which means stop the fussing and fighting, if what I am singing hurts you, then you'll have to kill me right here, because my 3-year-old son is gonna come and sing the same thing. And as I utter that, I saw His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie himself tell any man that Joseph Constantine, he'll tell you this. Turn a short thing just like this. And while I was there, bow my head and got ready to die. Didn't have the time to make a will. I didn't have the time to tell my wife what color casket I may love if death do come. And while I was there, I saw the emperor becomes a short thing. And it's like he puts his hand underneath his robe and do like this once. He said that you might not sleep the sleep of death. And he said that you might not walk into destruction. That you might not put forth your hands and feet into iniquity. And as he said iniquity, I heard one of the gunmen turn around and said to his girlfriend, say, you mean to say, take with the trade them watch and take with the trade them everything, and you mean to say, a man like J. Hill, you go kill J. Hill on the beach and not talk about you want rope. And the gunman said, if you shoot Joseph, I'm going to kill you right now tonight, because you take everything from the trade, I want to take the trade life. And miraculously they all turned the gun on each other and want to kill each other. And they just delivered. Yeah man, ask Mike about it. So that's why I know that I am harder than the rest. Yeah. That's why I know. Javenticate I. Harder than the rest without any apology. Undisputed. Harder than the rest. Because I'm a servant of the Most High. And a little gunman will have to turn his gun down his gullet and swallow the bullet.
Peter Tosh was one of the best friends L.A. Reggae ever had. He sat for us a couple of times, first in August of 1981, 3 months after his old partner in the Wailers, Bob Marley, had passed away. And you'll find his remarks about Bob Marley rather intriguing, I think. And we'll follow that with 2 excerpts from an interview done in July of 1983, in which Peter talks about the conspiracy to keep reggae music off the air in America and about the multiple plots on his life.
These are the last days. We are now living in the closure of the dispensation of time. Come on.
Peter, any final comments you want to make to folks in America, specifically in California?
Yes, they always want to tell me, say, every journalist come to me, always want to say, now that you are the new king of reggae. I don't like hear that. I don't want one to tell me that, because I am not new. See, I am as old as the sun. From the earth was reincarnated millions of times and still doing the same work, see, musically. And I don't want to be looked upon as no superstar, as no king, as no... My music is just music. Music is a message decorated with music for the awakening of people's consciousness onto certain levels of reality.
Are you satisfied with the way that your new album and your hit single, Johnny Be Good, have been promoted in America?
No, that was not my hit single.
It got on MTV and it got on the pop charts.
Yes, that don't make it a hit. That is the shit within the society and the diplomacy in making it look to the people that it is a hit, but to them it is not a hit. You see? When that is projected in the minds of the people, it will look, because if you see it as a hit, many millions of people will see it as a hit. See? And when they see it as a hit, you know what is created in their mind. I have money. See? And that is one of the diplomatic way of assassination, spiritual and verbal assassination. See? And I know the devil's trick in every way that they try. See? Because if everybody start to think that me have money, them start to say that I have money, I don't know what I'm doing with it. See? I then have all kind of negative things to say when you have money, what to do with it. See? And I don't have no money. I intend to have money. The shit team is trying their best to see to it that I don't have no money. But they will make these little elements create around me that people have me down as a millionaire, as they did with Bob Marley. See? And brand you and have you as a target out there, a millionaire. See? And that is the verbal way of killing you.
So you don't really have a hit? You're not being promoted properly? Or?
No. The shit team is still in campaign against reggae music. See? What you hear going on is just because I'm doing my best. See, because when time I have a contract with any company, I do my best. But every time I don't, I never know time I ever see the company done their best, or a fraction of what they call the best. See, because I've been watching the medias and who is in control of the medias. And I see where, for example, it is a conspiracy to see to it that reggae is not being played on black radio stations in America. See? Like it is a conspiracy to see to it that drugs get into all the black communities to poison the nation.
And stop the revolution.
See? So, because the music is an awakening to the slumbering mentality of those who have been caught up in the shit stream, the conspiracy is a paid conspiracy. And I know that. See? And because they are branding me now as leader because Bob Marley is gone, that's why they were trying to put me in his shoe and in his category. And that is, I'm irrelevant to Bob Marley. Can't compare me to Bob Marley. Can't put me nowhere near Bob Marley. See? See? So it's a general campaign to keep reggae at a level. You're not supposed to sell more than 150 or maybe 200,000, and then brand new it hit and it don't go further than 67 on the chart. The future with me is in Africa. because me can't take the discrimination. See? And I remember where I came from, or where I'm coming from, I don't intend to go back there anymore, because I don't walk backwards. Forward ever, backward never.
Don't look back.
And my song said, Mama, Africa. It's just telling my mother, Africa, that I am coming home. See, I am sick and tired of being abused indefinitely, indirectly and directly, diplomatically, condemned, humiliated, brutalized. You see, and the amount of plots on my life daily continual. But that don't put me in fear. I'm not going in exile, because they can't do me nothing. My father gash lightning and thunder, heart attack a guy. See? So if a guy thinks he can sit down and try to bring his evil devices to pass upon my head, it's impossible. Because you know why? The sun shall not smite I by day, nor the moon by night, nor the pestilence that walk by day, nor destruction that wasteth at noonday, nor destruction that lurks in darkness. None of them can do I no wrong. See? And that is my move.
Here's a stack of singles by Alton Ellis, which shows the breadth of his work over the past almost 50 years. He is the king of rocksteady and one of my all-time favorite singers. And in July of 1997 in Long Beach, California, I interviewed him about some of these, and I showed him a strange new disc that had Treasure Isle, Duke Reed's label on it, and Coxsone Dodd's name on the same label. These were the two great rivals during the rocksteady era of the mid-'60s, and his response to this was very interesting. He talks at a certain length about the Duchess, Duke Reed's wife, who had been given the estate following her husband's passing. And we also talk about Busby, the man about whom he wrote this song, Dance Crasher, back in 1963. Now, under the heading of things we never thought we'd live long enough to see, Treasure Isle, Coxsone's Music City, Dance Crasher, Alton Ellis, repressed a few years back. But did you ever think you'd live to see the day that you'd see Duke Reed and Coxsone on the same label?
No. No. And it's simple that things is changing. Duke Reed died and Coxsone's got to Mississippi. She don't know nothing about the business, and I'm just take it away from her. It's about 4 people she signed her catalog to, and she's not getting a penny from none of the 4. Oh, no. Because the excuse is that Mary is selling it, and I am selling it, so I can't find the money. And Mary said, but Roger is selling it also. And Roger said, but it's selling it also. So the 4 of us said, just blaming each one. Right. And she can't get any money because.
It's the other person.
He's the other,
it's always the other guy.
The other guy, Yeah, man. I went to her house, man. It was a pitiful story. And I was looking at her and said, look at that. The same thing that he used to do to me is happening to you now. And that's what I was thinking when she was telling me. She went to Jew, don't be to me for money. Don't be sending her to England, all the way to England for some royalty. You know, she'll get back home, she have to beg her fare. She have to beg her ear fare from England to get back to Jamaica. Wow. You understand? Send her right around the world.
And she's the Duchess?
And she's the Duchess. You understand? So, and I said, look at that picture. That's where I used to walk from Trenchtown penniless and go to Duke and want some money and then send me back Trenchtown penniless. That's what's happening to you.
For all those hits for Duke?
Yeah. Understand? Yeah.
And Dance Crasher's about Busby?
Yes.
We did that on the radio show. We've covered that story. It's a great story. Yeah. And when he died, police killed him.
Yes.
Police kept a party.
Party at
that's nice.
Police station.
He was the guy who loved to shoot up dances.
He was one of the first bad influence in Jamaica, you know, from my time.
We're talking maybe, what, 64?
Yes, because that Dance Crasher was 58, 59, 63 was Dance Crasher.
63.
Yes, so we're talking about 61, 62. And then I went to
That's before guns were there.
Yes,
beginning of it, just the very beginning of the guns.
And it wasn't
really gun, it was ratchet and bottle.
Because it's right at Independence.
Yes, right at
Ratchet and bottle.
And bottle, you understand?
A little more personal.
Yes. And then about 3, 5 years after that, then the gun thing now became. But it was bottle and it was strictly more bottle, you know. I saw that guy do something one night and it was, I'm walking this dance, you know, and when I'm walking inside, I have 2 beer. I always have 2 or 3 beer in the man, every time you see him. And I'm throw a bottle in there and watch it spinning. And it drop right there, bash, and I'm walking still in a while it's spinning in the air and everybody does, Ray, Busby! That's what I'm into the dance, you know, gigantic and dynamic, you know what I mean? And then just flip the bottle and watch it, you know, everybody watching the bottle spinning and watching it and walking, see me, and it going round and round and round and bash! And I just walk on, see it, Ray, Buzz! Buzz come and before I'm leaving, mash up the same dance, you know, just mash up. Yeah, man. I look just like Muhammad Ali, you know.
Wow.
Athletic.
Big
you know?
guy.
Wow. Yes, big and waist small and legs small and, you know, at the age of about 19, 20, that's the type of person, you know.
The Heptones were one of the most important groups in rocksteady and reggae history, recording for Cox and Dodd's Studio One between 1966 and 72. And they are Earl Morgan, Barry Llewellyn, and lead singer, bassist, and arranger Leroy Siblis. They stayed together till the late 70s, and in 1994 they had a brief reunion. And they came here to the new home of the Archives in July of 94 to tell me about their early days. And this is what the Archives looked like a month after we moved in. A prime question. Where did the name come from?
Well, when we started off, Barry, the name Earl Morgan and the Swinging Squirrels.
The Swinging Squirrels?
Squirrels, the Earl Morgan and the Swinging Squirrels. Then,
I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah, you were not part of that one. We changed it to the Celestians.
Yeah.
And then, like it don't sound good, I'm just changing back the name to the Heptones.
You came up with that idea?
Yeah, well, you see in Trenchtown, you have down the bottom of the Trenchtown, they call it down like where people throw the refuge and thing.
Yeah.
Clean up the city and throw the refuge and everything. And walk through that one time and see a back right, Heptones tonic off something. I think that come from me. I don't know where the back come from, but it's a foreign.
Heptones tonic?
Yeah, Heptones tonic.
Same spelling?
Yeah, and I don't say what the name so yeah.
And you fell in love with it?
Yeah, I know.
Did you ever hang out at Joe Higgs' yard and do any singing in Joe's yard? Was there a particular yard where you rehearsed more?
Yeah.
Where was that? Whose house?
Mine called
Carrot.
Yeah.
He was a landlord of the place, and we rented this place for him because we need a place for ourselves.
And where was that?
It was in the same area where Leroy.
Newlantown.
Newlantown. Do you remember the street?
Lane, Thompson Lane, they call it
Thompson
Avenue.
Thompson
Avenue, yeah.
And he rented you the yard to practice.
Yeah.
Yes, you know.
And how long did you practice before you cut
Well,
down?
it went on for a long time.
Long time, man. Because when I practice like every day, you know.
Yeah.
Whole day.
Yeah,
24/7. We don't stop rehearse. Just rehearse. You know?
So what year are we talking here?
Well, I talk like, I think, I go 64 bar. 64, 65, 66. Just rehearse, y'all. Yeah, man. No for rehearse, y'all, you know?
Did you have a coach?
No.
But I mean,
I was our coach.
Yeah.
Our coach was
but you must have had somebody who listened, because when you're singing among yourselves, you can't always stand aside from yourself. So you need somebody to say,
Yeah. So we just started. We were always, being antagonized by the people. But first when it gets like on 10 o'clock at night,
people want to sleep.
People say, quiet! Make so much noise.
So if you're saying sweet, they wouldn't say quiet.
After a while, you want to hear no sound.
Yeah.
That's how you knew you were getting
Right, that's what we're going now. We're great. Like people would request us to sing for them in the streets and evening times and all that.
Yeah.
So we sang, at the corner. We'd have a crowd around us and all that, and we'll be able to sing now without being disturbed or disturbing no one up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Whoa, that's great. And what would you sing in those rehearsal sessions?
Well, I remember when we were in Caribbean, we were really, I remember clearly while we were doing the Heptones on Top album.
Yeah.
During that time, we had total respect.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, look at the songs on it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's your second album.
Yeah. We had total respect.
Pure Sorrow.
Yeah.
I Hold the Handle.
Yeah.
Equal Rights. Sea of Love. Pretty Looks. Party Time. I Love You. I mean, this is your second album?
Yeah.
It's almost like a greatest hits,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Judy Mowatt is one of the most charming figures in reggae music. She began as a young woman in the 60s with the Gaylettes, recorded under the name Julianne, and of course her own name, when she was tapped in 1974 to become a member of the I3, the trio that followed Bob Marley all over the world to spread the message of Rastafari. And one of the most historic nights of their 7 years together was in Zimbabwe on the independence celebrations on April 18th, 1980, when a riot broke out. And a year later, in August of 81, at Sunsplash in Montego Bay, which was honoring the life of Bob Marley, I had a chance to sit down with her and talk to her about what really took place on that opening night.
What do you remember about Zimbabwe?
Well, it's a long story.
Oh, good.
It's a very long story because in Zimbabwe, you know, the night, it was an airy inspiration for us, you know. But it was kind of frightening too, because while we were there, you know, Prince Charles was there, and all these tankers and soldiers and machine guns that I've never seen in my life before were there. And then these freedom fighters who made it possible, the independence possible, they were not invited to the celebration. So while we were on stage, we were about doing the third song when we smelled something strange. And, you know, I look at Marcia and I see like she coughing, and I see Rita coughing, and when I look at everybody, it's like, you know, everybody knock out. So I left the mic, and everybody left the mic and ran from the stage. And I see little children fell on the ground, and you know, I'm a mother and I couldn't stop to help them because I began to run. And when we get to find out now that it was these freedom fighters heard the music from about 80 kilometers away, heard the music thumping, and they followed the music, like they were invoked by the music, and they followed the music, and they came barging into the gate, but they were not allowed inside. So they put up a fight to come in, and the soldiers and the police who were there, they tear gassed the area, and that was what affected us. So we thought it was war, because you know Zimbabwe is a war zone, so everybody run. So we wanted to get out of the place, and his brother from Zimbabwe now was taking us to the place where we're staying. And everywhere we go, we were blocked by these soldiers with machine guns. So him himself said, we're going dead now.
Now let me get this straight. You were on stage, you've done 3 numbers, yes, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose, yes, and you tear off the stage.
Yes. And everybody's running for their own life, because even Bob himself, he was the last one to come off stage, because you know when Bob is singing, he's gone in a trance. And when he really came down to earth and really realized what was happening, he had to come off. I don't know if anybody helped him off, because everybody ran and left him on stage. So we ran into this trailer now and locked the door, but in there was still stuffy. So as I said, we got a ride from this brother trying to find a house where we were supposed to be staying. When we finally got there, was watching it on television, you know, that the crowd has dispersed and everything. And we saw the Union Jack came down and the Zimbabwe flag went up, but we weren't there to witness it eye to eye. Well, Rita now, she went back. She went back in the car now, so she's going to see what happened to Bob. So when she reached back, she met Bob, and Bob said, now I know who is the true revolutionaries. Because we supposed to be some freedom fighters and we ran. But, you know.
Soon you will know.
Yes, yes.
So all these stories we've read in the American press are really distortions, because I haven't heard about this at all in all the reading I've done on that. they said that Marley played and the flag went down and the first words were...
He went back, you know. You see, after we left, Bob went back and Bob did No Woman a Cry. Bob did Zimbabwe because he never got the chance to do those songs because he just began the show.
I used to live on Valentine Street in Echo Park in Los Angeles, and on Valentine's Day 1987, the Wailers came to visit. They were in LA airport with a 10-hour layover on their way back from New Zealand to Jamaica. And Junior Marvin called and said, "Can we come over?" And I said, "Who's we?" And he said, "The Wailers." And they arrived shortly after. And we looked at about 3 hours of unreleased Bob Marley pictures and films and heard their stories. And I called Chili Charles on the phone and said, "The Wailers are here, come right over." And he ran over with his camera. And just before they left for the airport, they gave me about a half hour of very interesting interview material. The Wailers were all the major figures except one who toured with Bob in the late 70s. Seco Patterson, who brought Bob to his first audition at Cox and Dodd. Al Anderson, the lead guitarist, along with Junior Marvin. Wyalindo, the keyboardist, and of course the Barrett brothers, Family Man Barrett and his brother Carlton Barrett. This was the last filmed interview of Carlton's life. He was murdered 2 months later. And at the end of the interview, I asked each of the Wailers to tell me about their favorite tracks with Bob, and I think their answers may surprise you.
I want to ask you all one final question. I want to ask the same question to all of you now, and that is, what piece of music that you are involved in as Wailers is your single favorite piece? It might be something that you played your favorite lick on, or just an all-around fantastic song that you're part of. What's your favorite
My
piece?
favorite is War. The words are written by Haile Selassie, and that's the message to mankind right now. That's the best song Bob ever done. Best song.
And there's a longer version on some demo tapes that Neville gave me that was never released. There's another about 35 or 40 seconds
Every time
of
Bob
his
sing
speech.
War, it's like the first time he ever sing it and the last time. Every time he sing it. First
Do you
and
have
last.
a favorite live version of that? At one of the
Babylon by Bus.
The one on that album?
That's good. I like the original version too.
Yeah.
I mean, every version of that is my favorite.
And it was very roundly criticized when it was on the album. They said, why didn't he put Roots on instead of this speech by Haile Selassie? It got a lot of criticism at the
Well,
time.
His Majesty said that you must revel in the Bible. And when he said that speech, he didn't say it for anyone in particular. He said it for the whole world. But people don't even realize that yet. They're slowly coming to realize, like Phil Collins realized it the other day and did a song called, what's that song called? Land of Confusion. Right? That's another version of War. You know, and Carly Simon, he did another song just recently, same kind of message. But War is the ultimate, Paul Simon, right?
Paul Simon's.
War is the ultimate version of the message to the people.
You created a whole style of reggae drumming that people are still making careers out of your throwaway licks. What's your favorite piece of music? Come over here in the light a second, Carly. Tell me what your favorite piece of music is.
We shall ever love Ninja.
Why?
Because we have to.
Forever Loving Song from the Uprising. Yeah. Al Anderson, tell me about you. Is it No Woman, No Cry?
No.
Come a little closer.
I say Roots.
Roots. Interesting choice. Not a song that a lot of people know, even if it's on the new Rebel Music collection. It's not a song that people think of by Bob because it was only the flip of a single all those years.
Yeah, I was around when he was writing it, and I saw how it came about to him, so...
How did it come about? What's the story?
Just
What country?
The same words.
What
It was
country?
in Jamaica. Just as he sings the words, that's how it came about. You know, the people were around him, and there were certain people cooking food and motivating certain things and certain energies that were going down. I saw that happen at the time, and I just hadn't seen anyone work like that and use all the elements that were in front of him and put them into songs like that, so I'd say Roots.
I can't wait to hear what Family Man says.
Well, yes. Well, I've got a wide range, you know. But I've just given
we
it
have plenty of
three.
tape.
Well, number one is, I'll let you know, is so much things to say and guiltiness rest on their conscience every day. And also get up, stand up for your right. Yeah.
Seco, come in, please. Wyatt, tell me your favorite thing that you played on. What song of Bob's do you like best? Let me ask you to hold it down just a second. What's your favorite, Bob?
I think the Confrontation album was the happiest.
The Confrontation album, the posthumous album. Any particular track that really turns you on most?
Give Thanks and Jump Naya Bing. Most of I love all of the songs on Confrontation, very good songs.
Now, there are other albums that the Wailers could put together on the basis of the Confrontation album, and I want you to think about what songs might be in rehearsal form that could be turned like Mix Up into real songs.
Ask me, man, which song me like.
No, I don't care. No, Seco.
I can tell you know that.
Seco, tell me what song is your favorite.
Naughty Dread.
Dread Naughty Dread.
Dread Naughty
I
Dread.
and I are the roots. Now in Jamaica, the Tough Gong single.
That is my song.
The Tough Gong single in Jamaica spelled it Knotty, not Natty Dread. They spelled it Naughty Dread.
Naughty
you know
Dread.
that. And
Naughty
I think
Dread.
that's
That's
probably
the
the realer title of that song, too, Naughty Dread.
Naughty Dread is my song.
Now, why? Was it written about you?
I'm a part of it.
See?
Yes, Naughty Dread. I think I got a few lines there. Yes.
Now, it's said that Bob wrote his songs in community, that you would sit around on the porch or in the studio, and people would throw lines at him, and he'd incorporate it into a verse, and if he found something he'd like, he'd work it out a little further. Is that how it worked?
At times.
So, in truth, you're all co-writers.
Very right.
Did you create all your own lead guitar lines, Junior?
Well, he used to give me ideas.
Who gave you the line, or did you do the line yourself in Waiting in Vain?
Waiting in Vain came to me in a dream. I heard the track, and then I tried it once, and I said, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I went home, I slept, came back and did it in the first take. And while I was sleeping, I dreamt about the song, and that was came out.
You know
I'm so happy that came out.
You know the word song?
The work song?
Work.
4 days to go home.
Yeah, it wasn't days. It was miles, because coming from the, you don't know about that. It was coming from the country. And we were counting miles and coming in. So I started to run a rhythm. I started to run a rhythm. And singing about the miles. And to continue that song. You know, just pick up the miles and just put a melody to it. And just read miles. I'm just in the studio now, we're going to do some record and say, well, I work on that. I said, yeah, man, I'm going to turn it into days. The mile into days. And there we go. So.
It has been said by many people that Bob Marley was a prophet, and in fact many of his prophecies came true. One of them concerned the cleanup woman, the great soul singer Betty Wright, who was a friend of his, and when he saw her many years ago in Miami, he said, I know a man you have to meet, and you're going to marry him, and his name is King Sporty. He's the man who wrote Buffalo Soldier. Many years later, Betty Wright in fact did meet King Sporty, and she went on to marry him. I spoke with her at length in 1995 in Miami, particularly about the year she spent on the road as the opening act to Bob Marley on the Survival Tour in 1979. And she gave me one of the most emotional testimonies to the power, as she says, the awesome power of the king and prophet of reggae, Bob Marley. Here's Betty Wright. It's now 14 years since, I guess, one of the saddest days in our lives when Bob left us. Who is Bob Marley in his 50th year to the world and to you?
Bob Marley is the reggae icon. There is no one to compare. He doesn't have a rival. Heir apparent, you may say, you know, the children, you know, will be able to enhance the legend, but I don't think anyone will fill those shoes. I think the most they can do is carry them. You know, I think they're going to have to wear their own shoes, because I don't think there will be another Bob. It's just the prophetic side. If it's just the music, then you could say, oh, his son, you know, God, they have the voice, they have the looks. But that prophetic side, the way to make an impact on the actual, what the consciousness of the people, and bringing the two. Remember that peace concert?
Of course.
Him bringing the PNP and the PLP together, Man, that was frightening.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know the repercussions of it, but who today would take a stand if they knew it might cost them their life? They don't take a stand, and it's not really the fault of the children, but it's like, take a stand for what? You know, so much drugs in the street and violence is, you know, if you can make it for money to Tuesday, you're doing real good. So it's like you don't even have the time to spend trying to bring people together. You're too busy trying to board up your house so that people don't break in, or get enough food so you don't starve to death, and hoarding things because you don't even know what tomorrow's going to bring. And natural catastrophes, hurricanes, landslides, earthquakes, so much going on.
But Bob would say that was the Bible fulfilling in these final days.
To him, he did not talk as a natural man. He didn't live as a natural man. He lived like a poor man. I mean, when you see the house, it's a massive house, but that house was open to everybody. You can never say there was a night that anybody couldn't come in and fall asleep on the floor. You felt at home. Mother B, you have something to eat. Want something to eat? It's always a cup of tea, cup of this. What you want? Here a little of this. Here a little banana bread.
And it's still like that. I slept on the couch 2 nights ago.
See what I'm saying? It's everybody's house. It was a unified spirit.
Is Bob something more than a mere mortal soul who had a musical career?
I think that anytime God puts that kind of spirit in a man, it's not mere mortal. It's the divine working through the mortal. It is the divine talking, touching the mind, and him taking what God gave him and being able to touch people. No mere mortal like just the average man, except they're touched and anointed by God, could stand there and make people faint, throw his hand up, and people drop like flies. I saw it. Not what anybody told me. Up in Canada, folks pulling their hair out and screaming and just going in, some of them with their hands up in a trance, looking and never turning, like somebody put them in a deep freeze for the time that he was singing. You could hear a pin drop on those little reticent songs, those little, real, like the No Woman, No Cry. Baby, if somebody had sneezed, it probably would have upset the entire building, because they paid attention to that man. And it wasn't because he was fine, showing his butt in his tight pants.
Or running all over the stage. He had more power standing still with his eyes closed than anybody. He
walked out in whatever he had on, whether it be green khakis, beige khakis, safari-looking suit, fatigues, whatever, wrinkled up, didn't matter. The man didn't come to be a show. He came to play his music and to tell his Zion songs. He came to sing his Zion songs, tell his story, and enlighten people. He didn't care whether you outdressed him. He never cared. If it was a t-shirt he sang in, I just know this, his show was going to be awesome. He brought the noise, he brought the music, he brought the voice. He had an eerie spell on people. And trust me, I had seen them all. But I'd never seen nothing like Bob Marley. Never. And I worked with Peter Tosh. I worked with lots of folks. The place that Bob touches you in your heart, it's a difference. It's like when you listen to gospel music. You notice, no matter how much you want to dance to other music, something about that spirit, it just goes through you. And he could do that.
Final question would be to choose one word to sum up Bob Marley.
Mystic man. Just mystic. Can't really describe him. Awesome.